My due date was any day now. We'd agreed to go to Eastbrook tonight, but my husband suddenly spoke up. I'm heading to Chelsea's to watch her kid, she's working late. I froze, watching him shrug on his coat. But I could give birth any minute. There's nobody here, what am I supposed to do? And how many times have you helped her already? Who's your wife, her or me? He glanced at my belly. One more night won't change anything. A weariness settled between Mason's brows, his tone edging toward irritation. You demand I check in for everything. I told you in advance, so what more do you want? Must you always think the worst? If I were up to something, would I announce where I'm going? Yet that very night, my water broke. 10 calls to him, every one went straight to voicemail. Chelsea's Instagram kept filling up with new photos of him and her child. I was exhausted, I couldn't keep doing this. Before we continue, please subscribe to this channel and comment where you're listening from. After Mason said he was going to Chelsea's, the room went stiff for a second. I'd lost count of how many times this had happened. Chelsea was his ex, now a divorced single mom. Her ex-husband had been abusive, and Mason had handled her divorce for her. Ever since, when her faucet leaked, Mason replaced it. When school let out, Mason picked up her kid. When she got sick, Mason nursed her back to health. I laughed bitterly and asked Mason, there are no plumbers in Eastbrook? You can help with school pickup once or twice, but every single day? She can't call a cab to the clinic, she has to have you sitting at her bedside? He looked at me, perfectly calm, no emotion at all. Enough. She's a woman raising a kid alone, if I can help, I help. You're a woman too, why can't you show some understanding? Besides, I always check in first. I'm not sneaking off behind your back. Back when we were dating we'd made a rule, wherever he went, whatever he did, he'd check in. So, in his mind, he was being perfectly open about visiting Chelsea. What once felt like the sweetest kind of trust now struck me as grotesquely ironic. When I looked again he was already in his jacket, keys in hand. At the door he glanced back, uneasy. If anything happens, call me. The click of the door shut. The bedroom fell silent. My hand shook as I opened WhatsApp. Chelsea had updated her Instagram story, baby keeps crying for Daddy Harrison. Still can't calm him down. Blood rushed to my head, a stabbing pain shot through my belly. I screenshot her post and sent it to Mason. His reply came instantly, don't overthink. She got off early, but the kid wouldn't stop asking for me, just going to check in. My eyes burned, my heart ached. Furious and hurt, I felt the baby kick hard, and tears spilled over. Just then Chelsea messaged me on WhatsApp, sis, sorry to borrow your hubby again. Kid's throwing a fit for dad, so you'll have to excuse me. Reading her blatant taunts, I felt cramps ripple low in my abdomen. My water broke. Panic surged, mom and dad weren't in town, Harrison's parents were back in the countryside, and Mason and I had no other relatives nearby. I called Mason. It connected. Terror cracked my voice. Honey, my water broke. I never expected his first reaction to be anger. I just walked out the door, your water couldn't have waited 5 minutes? Sophia, I told you, I'm only looking in on the kid. Stop making a scene. I'll be home right after. He hung up. I redialed, busy. Again, busy. Again, no answer. Cold spread through me, the pains came faster. I could barely crawl, let alone stand. My phone screen reflected my ghost white face. I dialed 911. Every second on the floor felt endless. I shook with pain. 20 minutes later the ambulance arrived, but I had to meet them downstairs. I hauled myself up, biting back screams, and inched down each step. To save money back then, Mason had bought a walk-up, now every flight was torture. An hour later I finally reached Eastbrook, sweat soaking my loose dress. The on-call obstetrician frowned. Where's your partner? Someone needs to check you in. And your clothes are soaked. Change now, chills aren't good for labor. Partner? While I'd battled my way here, Chelsea's stories kept popping, Mason and her son, then all 3 of them cuddled together. My texts vanished into the void. I'd meant to pack a bag tonight, but emergency struck first. Right now Mason was busy playing dad to someone else's child. I gave a thin smile. He's tied up. Understanding flickered across the on-call obstetrician's face, her tone softened. Any friends you can call? 2 more calls to Mason, voicemail. I quit. On the marriage, too. 6.5 hours later I delivered a girl. When I opened my eyes, the delivery room nurse was beside me, holding a cup of warm water. Where's your husband? Shall we ring him? What could be more important than his wife giving birth? I blinked. He didn't come? All night, through the birth, he'd never shown. Biting back rage, I called him. This time he answered, voice low. I'm on my way. A woman's voice drifted in, Mason, at least eat breakfast, you've been run ragged. I made chicken noodle soup. My nails cut into my palms, it felt like a sledgehammer to the chest. You spent the night there? His calm evaporated. Oh, come on, what are you implying? There's a kid in the house, nothing's going on. Finish your soup and I'll leave. The line went dead. Tears streamed down. Half an hour later Mason burst in, a bouquet of roses in one hand, my clothes in the other. Babe, I'm sorry, I thought you were bluffing. I came home, the neighbor said an ambulance took you. He rattled off excuses. Chelsea's kid had melted down, clung to him, wouldn't sleep. By the time the boy dozed off it was after midnight, so he'd crashed on her couch to avoid waking me. I gave a soft grunt. Are you done? I'm tired. I need to rest. Mason opened his mouth, but in the end nothing came out. I drifted into a fitful sleep and woke up feeling a sliver of energy. When I opened my eyes again, Mason was gone. On the bedside table lay his note. Chelsea says she crashed her car, going to check on her. Days passed, Mason never showed. WhatsApp kept pinging with his check-ins. Sometimes Chelsea's leg hurt and he had to help. Sometimes she was hurt and couldn't cook, so he had to look after that kid. Every single message was about Chelsea. Since our baby arrived, he hadn't even glanced at her, hadn't chosen a name. I stopped waiting and named her Lily myself. The hospital food made me gag. The other new moms in the ward ate home-cooked meals their families brought. I could only bargain, could I pay them to make an extra portion? On Instagram, Chelsea posted a glossy food pic. Someone's cooking is still perfect, never gets old. On Lily's 5th day the on-call obstetrician said her jaundice was high and her lungs inflamed. I cried in secret all night. Next morning, heading to the restroom, I spotted Mason down the corridor. He was with Chelsea and her little girl. The child looked listless. Mason cradled her, patting her back gently. Take your medicine like a good girl and you'll get better fast. Daddy's here, Daddy won't leave. My knuckles went white around my phone. Last night I'd messaged him that Lily's nose was stuffed and her lungs infected. He still hadn't replied. Maybe he remembered I was in the same hospital. That afternoon he swung by with a plastic bag of fruit. Chelsea said her kid was running a fever. She couldn't manage alone, so I helped this morning. I didn't see your message. I studied him, lipstick stained his shirt collar. He followed my gaze, flustered for a second. That kid loves makeup. She smeared Chelsea's lipstick and kissed me by accident. My heart had already gone cold. Seeing him now, I felt no fresh hurt, only stillness. Okay. Mason blinked, surprised I didn't react. Taking in how much weight I'd lost, guilt flickered in his eyes. You've at it rough. From now on I'll stay with you and Lily, take care of you during postpartum recovery. Before I could answer his phone rang. The ringtone was the little girl's bossy voice. Daddy Mason, pick up. Mommy needs you. Daddy Mason, pick up. He grabbed the call. What's wrong? Right, I'm on my way. He stood instantly. Chelsea tripped and the kid won't stop crying, I need to check. Remembering what he'd just promised, he added, I'll be right back. Just like every other time. By the time Lily and I were discharged he'd shown up exactly 3 times, each summoned away by Chelsea. I registered Lily's birth certificate alone. The house felt hollow, even the plants on the windowsill were drooping. I hauled formula and diapers from Freshmart by myself, juggling Lily, stumbling down the street. On the corner I saw Mason with Chelsea and her daughter, chatting and laughing. Chelsea wore a pink Chanel dress, face flawlessly made up. I'd seen that dress last month after Mason's business trip, $1,300. He'd claimed it was for a client. A year ago I'd bought $1,300 shoes. He called them wasteful, marched me back for a refund, preaching thrift. When he noticed me, Mason's smile froze. He hurried over but didn't take Lily, his other hand was holding Chelsea's daughter. You're discharged? I said I'd pick you up. My voice was flat. No need. Weren't you worried Chelsea might get scammed buying her car? Going to help her pick it up? Mason frowned, irritation creeping in. I told you where I was. Why the attitude? She's a single mom, it's hard. I cut him off coldly. And I'm a single mom now, easy for me? He started to retort, but Chelsea walked up, apologetic smile in place. Sophia, you've had it tough lately. We were about to celebrate my new car over dinner, join us? Half an hour later the table was covered with dishes Chelsea and her girl loved. Mason spoon-fed Chelsea's child. Chelsea lifted an eyebrow at me. Mason's such a great dad. The whole meal I bounced Lily, fed her, calmed her cries, never touched my own plate. The moment Chelsea swallowed her last bite, I reached for my chopsticks, but Mason urged, "Let's go. You've been eating forever. You never eat this much." I stared at him. "This is my first." The floor lurched. Diner screamed. "Earthquake." Mason's face went white. I scooped up Lily and turned to tell Mason to take us out first. He was gone. Mason had shielded Chelsea and her child and rushed them out. Clutching Lily, I was knocked down in the stampede. Someone stepped on my hand. Excruciating pain, yet the chill in my chest hurt worse. 50 seconds later the tremor stopped. The sidewalk was packed. After settling Chelsea and her daughter, Mason ran back to Bella, but the place had already emptied. Relieved, he figured we must be safe. He dialed Sophia, no answer. Normally she picked up instantly. Panic pricked him. Swallowing it, he drove Chelsea and the girl home. The child was hysterical, begging him to stay. He texted Sophia to check in, then stayed the night. Next morning he carried 2 takeout bowls of wonton soup home. The apartment was eerily quiet. He called Sophia's name, silence. He opened his mouth to call the baby's name, only to realize he hadn't even chosen one yet. Mason was lifting the wontons onto the table when he froze. His whole body started to shake, the color drained from his face in an instant. He stared at the divorce papers lying on the table as though he could burn a hole clean through them. After coming out of Bella's emergency exit, I carried Lily all the way home. Tears streamed down my face without stopping. No one knew how terrified I'd been the moment I hit the floor. Back home, I held Lily and couldn't stop trembling. It took a long while before I finally calmed down. Mason called, I didn't answer. I went to the bedroom, took out the divorce papers I'd drafted days ago, and signed my name stroke by stroke. The moment I finished, a WhatsApp from Moss on popped up. "Chelsea and the kid were rattled today. The little one won't let me leave. I'll be late. I'd seen it coming. An opportunity that perfect, Chelsea would never let it slip. I packed mine and Lily's bags. The rideshare I'd booked pulled up right on time. Family loaded the suitcases into the trunk. I climbed in with Lily cradled in my arms. 2 blocks past Maple's gate, I spotted Mason helping Chelsea pick out fruit. A sight that once stabbed me now slid past my eyes like scenery through a window. 4 hours later I was back in my ancestral hometown. Parents were waiting downstairs. The instant Mom realized it was only me and the baby, her eyes reddened. Dad's voice actually cracked. "I thought the whole family was coming, you too." That night the table was covered with every dish I loved. Mom beamed as she fed the baby. I'd already told them everything. Thank heaven they stood behind my decision to divorce. Dad slapped the table, shouting loudest of all, "Divorce him. Absolutely divorce him." He'd actually been Mason's biggest fan when we first got together. He said the night before our wedding Mason had cried in front of him, swearing he'd cherish me and protect his little girl for life. That evening I rocked Lily to sleep. The walls in the house aren't thick. I think I heard my father, a grown man, sobbing. "That animal. Look what he's done to my daughter. She used to be so beautiful, look at her now. Her hair used to be jet black, now it's streaked with gray, and she's lost so much weight." At home I felt safer than I ever had. 2 days later Mason began calling nonstop. I rejected every call and texted back, "We can talk about the divorce on WhatsApp. Between us, divorce was the only subject left. He sent a dozen 60-second voice messages. I tapped translate. Not one mentioned the divorce. I couldn't be bothered to reply. But I never expected Mason to show up at my parents' door that very night. He looked haggard and defeated. Up close I caught a sour tinge of stale alcohol. "Why are you divorcing me?" "I refuse." Not wanting to wake parents, I motioned him outside. He followed meekly. The night wind was strong. I pulled my jacket tighter. Mason quickly shrugged off his coat and draped it over my shoulders. He's always been attentive, good at taking care of people, one of the reasons I married him. Only later that care stopped belonging to me. His eyes were bloodshot, bangs whipped wild by the wind. "You're divorcing me because of Chelsea? If you don't want me looking after them anymore, I swear I won't." "Sophia, our baby was just born. Are you really willing to make her grow up in a broken home?" I felt as though I'd heard a joke. Haven't I said the same thing before? Did you ever listen? Every time you use checking in as an excuse. "Mason, I can't do this with you anymore. Divorce is best for both of us. You won't have to worry about me while you play savior to them. I don't mind, really, I don't care at all now. Our baby was just born? Do you even know her name?" My barrage left Mason at a loss. "The birth certificate registration isn't done yet, so the name." I cut him off coldly. "I messaged you, Mason, her papers are already filed. Her name is Sophia Ing Harrison, we call her Lily. You remember Chelsea's kid's birthday, her favorite flower, her favorite food, but our own daughter? You don't even know her name. Isn't that hilarious? The man in front of me turned whiter by the second, panic flooding his face. He knew how badly he'd screwed up. He pulled me into his arms, voice shaking. I know I've let you down these past months, Sophia, please, no divorce, okay? I just felt sorry for them, a single mom and her little girl. That line again. I was sick of it. I shoved free of his embrace. Enough. I'm tired of it, it makes me sick. Mason, there's nothing left to discuss except the divorce. If you agree, sign the papers. If not, I'll file for litigation. To me his apologies were nothing but excuse. I turned to leave, unwilling to waste another minute. We'd dated 2 years and been married 3, Mason rarely bowed his head after the wedding. I thought I'd been brutal enough last night that he'd stay away. Besides, filing for divorce should clear the path for him and Chelsea. Yet the next morning he was sitting at my parents' breakfast table. Parents looked anything but pleased. Mason spooned puree into Lily's mouth. Lily beamed at him. I understood why they let him in, he is her father. I sighed, but my stance hadn't changed. Mason started dropping by every other day, and each time parents reluctantly admitted him. After several visits Lily began to recognize him, greeting him with gummy smiles. It only irritated me more. I left Lily in my hometown and returned to the city with Mason. He mistook it as a softening on my part. I was simply house hunting downtown. Once I found a place, I'd bring Lily over. When he heard I was looking, Mason tried to stop me, but failed. So he ended up scouting apartments himself. The unit he found sat in a prime spot, and Maple's security was solid. Lily and I would be safe here. Nowadays Mason waited on me hand and foot. I finally understood how Chelsea must have felt back then. I suspected Mason didn't love Chelsea at all, he just loved being useful to every ex. Chelsea rang several times. Mason rejected each call in front of me. When the calls got annoying, he answered with speaker on. If you've got a problem, call the cops, I'm busy with my wife. Mason still refused to say a single word about the divorce. And his attitude toward Lily and me had clearly shifted. My parents were even starting to soften, hinting I should drop the whole idea of splitting up. That was when Chelsea showed up at my door. First she dropped to her knees and begged. Could you just give Mason to me? I really can't live without him, and my kid can't either. I know this is shameless, Sophia, but life as a single mom is just too hard. I almost laugh. In her face. So because solo motherhood sucks for you, you're going to force another woman into the exact same hole? It takes two to tango, sure, it's not all on you. But don't you hear how ridiculous you sound? I didn't bother hiding my disgust. For 2 years she'd stirred the pot, openly and in secret, showing off whenever she could. Chelsea clenched her teeth, pulled something from her pocket, 2 pink lines. I'm pregnant. My eyelid twitched. Mason's? Her eyes welled, tears dripped like raindrops off pear blossoms. He told me to get an abortion, said he wanted to make things right with you. Sophia, just take pity on me and sign the divorce papers. I drew a slow, deep breath. I'd braced myself for his cheating long ago, yet the news still stung. Persuade him, not me. I already handed him the divorce papers. Chelsea staggered away. I felt lousy too. Counting the weeks, she'd slept with him while I was still pregnant. That night Mason came straight from work, takeout bag swinging in his hands. He sensed the chill the moment he stepped in. What's wrong? I motioned for him to sit. Chelsea paid me a visit today. The smile froze on his face. Panic flickered in his eyes under the ceiling light. After a long silence his shoulders caved. You know everything, Sophia? That day, her pipe burst, she was soaked, she threw herself at me. I told her to terminate it. Watching him clutch his head in fake agony, I felt nothing but revulsion. Let's end this. Mason, don't make me despise you more. He froze, then looked up, lost. A 6-foot man crouched at my feet, hugging my legs, bawling like a child. His eyes were so bloodshot they looked ready to drip red as he kept whispering, sorry. I'm sorry, Sophia. It was just that one night, I was terrified she'd tell you, so I gave her whatever she asked. He knelt outside my apartment all night. By dawn the hallway was empty. On the table lay signed divorce papers, not the version I drafted. Whether guilt Dr. of him or something else, Mason agreed to walk away with nothing. The house was mine. When the cooling off period expired, we filed and got the certificate. I hadn't seen him in a month. The once cocky man was now haggard and unkempt. Word was he refused to marry Chelsea, blamed her for coming to me, and kept stalling. Chelsea stormed his office. He'd been next in line for a promotion once the year-end reshuffle hit, her stunt torched that chance. Now he hated her guts. After the divorce was final, I sold the house, added some savings, and bought a condo with elevator. It took forever to coax my parents to move here so they could watch Lily while I worked. With their help, life felt 50 pounds lighter. Mom cooked creative meals, my postpartum recovery was bliss. The chi the marriage had drained flooded back into my cheeks. On the third day after my confinement ended, I ran into Mason. Mom and I had just left Freshmart when I spotted him by a fruit stand, yelling at Chelsea. She shrieked, face twisted like a demon. Mason took a drag, cursed, and walked off. That night, while I was taking out trash, someone outside the door gave me a start. Mason sat smoking. He stubbed the cigarette the instant he saw me, burning his own hand. He looked hollow, almost shy. Have you been? Is Lily easy to handle? Need cash? I still have. Before I could answer, a figure lunged and swung at my face. Bitch Sophia, why are you seducing my husband? Homewrecker, I'll kill you. Before the slap landed, Mason shoved her to the ground. Enough, Chelsea. If anyone's the other woman, it's you. Chelsea scrambled to claw me again. Mason yanked his hair with a bitter laugh. Sorry you got dragged in. Go inside, I won't come again. As I left I saw blood pooling under Chelsea. Soon an ambulance siren held below. Later I learned she lost the baby. Mason had even less reason to marry her now, so he kept delaying. Chelsea clung to him like ivy, neglecting her own daughter. Fed up, Mason M.O. Bed again and again. Cornered, Chelsea went scorched earth. She posted every dirty detail of their affair online, hoping the backlash would smoke him out. Netizens dug up the whole saga, exposing Mason as the cheating bastard and her as the mistress. Both were roasted in a viral bonfire. Harassed nonstop, Mason offered her money to disappear. She showed up to the meeting with a knife. They both ended up wrecked. The next thing I heard, Mason received a prison sentence. Mom clucked for days. Good thing you divorced early, imagine the mess if you were still tied to him. As Lily grew, I felt the first real stab of hatred for him. An unfaithful father was one thing. But he derailed Lily's future civil service path. Luckily Lily is tough, even without that road, she'll carve her own bright one. Thanks for listening to today's story. If you liked it, please hit like and share with friends. We'd love to hear your take in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more. See you next time.